Bill O'Neill, winner, winner, winner. Bill O'Neill advances for title. Indeed. The birthday girl, Stephanie Zavala.
9 to make the show. There it is.
He yelled, do it, and he did it. BJ Moore makes the show. 10 is a win for Snodgrass. Title number 6 on the PWBA Tour.
Off his hand, it looks good. It looks good. He's done it. He's done it.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, and Gold Coast Hotel and Casino, it's the first major of the PWBA season here in 2026. Emil Williams Jr., Chase Kaufman here with you, and we'll be talking about a little bit with respect to practice. That's right, practice. We are indeed talking about practice today. We are not talking about a game because those games will start tomorrow. We are talking about practice today. We'll talk about what this lane condition is about. This is B squad. We did watch A squad for a little bit this morning. Anticipate some things to take place with respect to the scoring pace. And from what we saw this morning, it certainly looked like it would be a higher scoring qualifying portion for the Queens this year. It will be 3 5-game blocks, 2 squads, fresh in the morning, burn in the afternoon, and then on day 3 of qualifying, both squads will bowl on the fresh. We'll take you to 37 through 40. We welcome in our audiences from Bowl TV and, of course, the PWBA YouTube channel. We appreciate all of you for tuning in to get a sneak peek, close-up, if you will, on what this lane condition is about. Right there is Danielle Henderson and Caitlin Abagania, 2 players who represent Vanderbilt University. Caitlin, a part of Team USA. Danielle, part of Junior Team USA. Danielle actually won the intercollegiate singles championships in the women's division. So she is at a collegiate national championship as a singles player now. I'm seeing Kayla Pashina. A little bit of Summer Jasmine had herself a very good week in Northern Colorado. Summer very close to making her first career show last week. Jasmine also in the building as well. Both squads will be uberly competitive, I think. A, because of the talent portion of things. B, because of the scoring pace or the anticipated scoring pace is probably the right move to say. You know, as we know, we anticipate or expect things to happen, and sometimes they don't go always to plan. The man who we often discuss and talk about. Yeah, we do a lot of reads on this network. One of those reads involves the Sport of Bowling, a show on the Sport of Bowling YouTube channel. And the host of said show is with us this week here at the USBC Queens. It is none other than Jason Thomas. JT, that's right.
Wow.
He deserves all of the applause.
Thank you. I live for the applause, just like Lady Gaga.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot. JT, it's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you as well. This is great.
This is great. And what's even greater is this 38-foot lane condition that, again, looks like it's going to be somewhat of a higher scoring qualifying situation.
They are hooking.
And there it is on the screen, 38 feet, 30.85 mils. And 23 going forward, nearly 8 mils on the reverse on its way back. Drop brush down at 36 feet. We got fire We got ice. And JT, what have your eyes told you? These obviously A squad this morning, and then even the early shots we see here on B squad.
I hope you can throw it hard this week, ladies. My pick will definitely be a person who likes to hum it down the lane for pursuit for the pins.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, because there's a lot of friction in this building in the first place, and pattern's short. And if you saw, pretty much everybody's first ball missed a head pin left. So there's a massive amount of friction to throw to. The players that have higher ball speed are going to have better carry. They're going to be able to play further to the right. And I just like their chances, especially when we get into the matches later this week. And I think, just to kind of, I'm not going out on a limb by saying this, but I'm between two players right now for my pursuit for the pins pick. And one is Jane Sin, and the other is Josie Barnes. And they finished 1-2 in this tournament last year. And they're both bowling great. Jane's already won a title this year on tour, and Josie is leading all events at the Open Championship, so she's in good form. I think she's still leading, right?
She is still leading.
Yeah.
She also just shot 300 at the Women's Championship.
Yeah, so
2 days ago.
Not exactly struggling in her game right now. So those are going to be. I'm going to have to. It'll be a game time decision which of the two I pick.
Jason, if you want a 51%, 49% addition to your coin toss, Josie is guaranteed into the round of 64.
That will probably be the determining factor, because last year I picked Jillian, and then I think she lost her first two matches, probably because I picked her. So hopefully I'm not doing anything bad to Josie by picking her. But
I
that
just
will
saw
probably
Emil's
be
phone
my
light
pick.
up, and it's from Josie. She says,
Please don't pick me, Jason. Please pick Jane. But Liz Johnson would be another one to watch for. She likes to hum it down there. I do feel like the players with a little bit lower rev rates will have a bit of an advantage in the matches, especially since the higher rev rate players aren't going to be able to throw urethane. I believe Verity might be throwing some plastic right now. Is that correct?
let's take a look down there. 29 to 32
Let's
here.
see if we can decipher.
It's going to be on the right side of your screen.
It
It looks like a storm mix, a platinum mix.
Yeah, it is.
And that, guys, that's been a good replacement for a lot of the PBA players did that as well in the U.S. Open Masters for urethane. You know, they were allowed the 78 hardness bowling balls out there on the PBA events, but for the USBC events, exactly like this, that was a good replacement. And the reason why it's classified as urethane is it's classified as urethane, but the reason they're able to throw it out here is because it's not considered a high-performance bowling ball.
Oh, a slow
Yes, a
absorbing.
slow absorbing, yeah. So that is on the approved list for this tournament.
Well, you know, with respect to Verity in particular, you know, she was she had the fast pitch and always dialed up in the bag, and someone who utilized urethane very often in many cases, and so makes sense to see her trying that. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Shannon Plahowski tried that as well. We talked to Shannon a little bit last week, where she made the show in Northern Colorado, and Sydney and her had a convo and talking about bowling balls and layouts to help replace urethane in her bag. She even drilled a full roller, something that was a full roller layout, with the help of, which I thought was the greatest part of the conversation, with the help of the one and only Bill Straub, who was their former coach at Nebraska.
And I should also say that there is a third player in my mind as someone that would be a good pick, and that would be Plahowski. And again, because of the ball speed, and she's bowling well. So she'd be a good pick as well for all of you Pursuit for the Pins players out there looking for someone to pick this week.
I talked to Jimmy a little bit too, just a few minutes ago, about how this pattern is playing. And he basically said, you know, if urethane was allowed here, a lot of players would be throwing urethane.
Yep.
And we were talking about urethane replacements, and one of those urethane replacements we've seen over the last couple of months has been that new Storm concept, being, you know, lower on the hook scale. really almost a lesser hooking ball than a Black Hammer 78 and IQ2 or 78. So I have a feeling you'll be seeing a few of those out here this week, especially with what JT mentioned. Everybody's throwing their first shot and has hit the 2-pin in the face if you're a righty, 3-pin in the face if you're a lefty. So I have a feeling you'll see some of those out here this week too.
Saw a lot of concepts this morning during A Squad. Uh-oh, Greaves is already taking Jane. So now I can't pick her either.
Uh-oh.
Yep, she's out of the competition.
I know I haven't been on your graphic that I make every week for Pursuit for the Pins, but I have been secretly playing this year on the 52.
And then you'll secretly win at the end.
I don't know. I haven't been off to a great start. I'm an okay start. I went with Hope Gramley the first week, and then I went with Olivia Farwell last week. And they both had okay tournaments.
Olivia's been very solid.
Yeah, I should have flipped it. Should have taken her week 1, and then week 2 it didn't have a great tournament, but week 1 was great start to her year.
So Carlene Byer, she's made a Queens show as she did a couple years ago. It was actually in 2023.
It was 2023 because that was the last Queens I worked, and it was at Samstown.
That's correct.
I remember that one.
As a rookie. We had 2 rooks on the show that year. Corrine Acuff also made the show.
Lindsay Boomer Shine, the champion.
We definitely could have a couple rooks on the show this year.
Yeah, no, we actually just had an interesting conversation downstairs about rookies winning on the PBA tour, and I feel like there's a little bit of contagiousness to that. I think some of the younger players out here, I think they're already great, and I thought they were gonna. I thought somebody might win the Anniversary Open last year because they had junior gold right before, and I thought there might be a 17-year-old that was going to bowl junior gold that would make that show or maybe contend for the title because there's so many really good ones. But I feel like what's happening out on the PBA tour will even speed that process along out here even faster with the women because they see people that don't have permission to win winning.
The one addition I would make to that too, JT, is that we've seen so many youth bowlers, and technically a lot of these ladies aren't even youth anymore; they're just younger in this crowd. Bowl so many events over the past few years to where they've bowled with the same people over and over, and they kind of trade off who's going to win, right? And they've all shown that they can beat each other. So when someone goes out there and wins an event that person has beaten before, they say, "Oh, that guy just won a tournament. Alex Horton just won last night. I've beaten Alex before. I can go win a title."
Absolutely.
Austin Grammer, I've beaten him before. If he wins a title, I can go out there. And it just bounces off that. So we could easily see that here this week. If let's say Nora goes out and grabs a title. Hey, I've beaten Nora overseas before. I can that if she won a title, that means I can win a title. And I don't mean to say it in a sense of like, oh, anybody can come out here and win a title. But when you bowl against someone so often and you see that they are beating the greatest of all time bowlers, it means that you're right there with them. And I think that also plays into it.
Yeah, I think when I first started working on the PWBA tour back in 2015, one thing I was asked, what's the difference between the men's tour and the women's tour? And my answer was the men's tour has a lot deeper talent, right? The 100th ranked player on the PBA could win, whereas on the women's tour that wasn't possible. And I think now it is.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like I think the fields are just so much deeper. And then with this tournament at the Queens, you've got all the great amateurs playing that all have a chance to win as well. And then the format also leads, helps facilitate that a little bit as well. Once you get into match play, you win a few matches and get your confidence. And yeah, I mean, the field's just so deep. It's probably the hardest tournament of the year to handicap.
In addition to that, too, JT, I think out here on this tour right now, I don't think there's unanimous best player out here. I mean, you can certainly make your case for a handful. Lee Jane Sin, your Jordan Snodgrass, New Fen. You could pick your player who you think is the best out here, but there's not that one person that everybody's looking to beat. I think at any given time, like you said, there's 100 players out here where maybe not 100, but there could be 50 players out here where if you said, "Oh yeah, this lady's going to win this week," you wouldn't be shocked.
No.
You may be surprised, but you wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, for sure.
All of those things are correct, especially watching this weekly. During the last couple of years, as you just said, though, there's some players who've separated themselves for sure, where you always have to consider them to win. And then those last three you talked about, or the first three you talked about, in Jordan, Wei, and Jan, all three of those players have now made a show in the first 2 weeks, with Wei making both as the top seed and going 1 for 2 in the title matches, respectively. Couple programming notes so you know what's happening with the schedule this week. We are on Pacific time, so for those who have some issues figuring out what time for your respective time zone, every day this week, and it actually it doesn't matter what day except the show day, which is Tuesday, but every day beginning tomorrow and through Monday, we're starting at noon Eastern time every day. So noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, which was last week, and 9 a.m. Pacific. But there's a look at the schedule. And so noon Eastern and 4 Eastern for the first couple of days. Now, Chase, make sure I'm right on the Eastern time zone, because your body is still technically on Eastern time.
Sure is. I fell asleep at 9 o'clock last night right when I got back.
So, and not to mention the physical exhaustion
Yeah.
from running, 3 football fields worth of cable.
Yeah, if you didn't get to join us earlier in the first practice session, scroll down below your video and click that right arrow button, and then click it again, 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 because we have 17 channels, 64 lanes of coverage out there for all you wonderful subscribers who have been with us all year long. Or if you're just joining, you joined at a great time.
Yeah, never been done before.
No, it certainly has. We've had.
I don't know if we'll replicate it.
Yeah. a lot
One
of
time
let's
only.
just put it this way. I would love personally to be able to showcase 64 lanes of coverage at every event, but a lot of things have to go right for 64 lanes. I don't even want to go down the list, but a lot of things have to go right. And right now, that's all streaming okay. Tomorrow could be a totally different animal as far as our
We all know how it
so.
It's the equivalent of sparing a 36910.
There you go. Sometimes you chop it. Sometimes
Every day.
the
Slide
9
by, the
stays,
3-pin. Yeah.
But we're gonna see how it goes this week, and one of those. Consider it a gift to you, kind of like we did the holiday giveaway in December. A gift to our subscribers is a nice little spring Easter gift for you,
Easter.
or just May, Mother's Day.
Holiday.
It's
That's
a
right.
Mother's Day, Father's Day gift, because next it's just an early Father's Day gift. Did your wife have a good Mother's Day?
She did.
Good.
She did. Had some. Went to a movie. Actually, no. Her day started with a massage.
Nice.
Then a little breakfast. She didn't want to do much, so got some carry out for that, and then movie in the afternoon.
With the family or by herself?
Fam.
Okay.
And then a little dinner after that. Finally got a chance to catch Michael. I enjoyed it so much I'll probably see it multiple times in the next couple of weeks.
I remember asking you a couple of years ago. I said, "Emil, who's MJ1? Who's MJ2?" And for you, Michael
What did I
Jackson,
say
Michael
then?
Jordan. I think you did say Jordan, but it was closer than you.
Yeah,
may
it's
think.
close. Again, 38 feet in length. The last 2 weeks, I feel, even last week in northern Colorado, I felt the pattern was pretty straightforward. And to some degree, I think it's kind of the same here when you just look at it shape-wise. There it is again on the screen. The fire and ice, though, when you do see those on the same graph, I know for some players it can be, I won't call it troubling, but I feel like the light bulb to some degree or the question mark may go off a little bit. And so big thanks to Nick Hoagland. A few notes for the week. So fire and ice, again, in use and used on the outside loads and ice used in the middle, which creates a little of a natural hold. This is a high friction bowling center. A lot of lineage. In fact, they had some $10,000 leagues going down last night here as we got done setting up. So there's a lot of lineage in the building. And as you can see, it is slightly asymmetrical with respect to the pattern on the left as well. So outside looks very clear, like you need to be playing out on the fresh. How much you need to move left, I think that's obviously the question. Might be a little different when you get to match play, depending on how players elect to try to set up pairs for themselves to go on the offense and win matches. But again, without the use of urethane, how will players, we just talked about Verity and what looked to be, what was certainly a mix, unsure at what surface, but was certainly a mix. How can players kind of control the fresh, control the amount of hook? But so there's Hook, and as JT mentioned, right, he's looking at players who can be a bit firm and that can throw it hard, utilize their ball speed to their advantage. Good player to watch, and Crystal Elliott's. Look at Joey K back.
Joey was at the Shark Championship in Minnesota last night, and he got here in time for this morning's practice.
Appreciate the dedication. That was probably an early morning flight. Or I don't know if they got any red eyes.
It was probably an early morning. Gained a couple hours, so.
Again, want to thank our audience on the PWBA YouTube channel and taking a sneak peek here at what's happening on the lanes here at the USBC Queens. Again, first major of the season. This is the third event on the National Tour schedule. But this event always brings out not just the best, but we also get more players. And obviously this tour has been international, certainly since forever, but definitely since the relaunch. And always good to keep in mind players from that we don't get a chance to see very often. Sometimes this is their only event. Someone that caught my eye this morning, for example, was Ileana Lomeli, who always bowls well here at the Queens. And I remember she was on the bubble for making the cut to match play a couple years ago, and was able to get in and made a nice run through the bracket. So it is players like that who are we anticipate to perform well, and then to some it's an introduction for you, the viewer, to take a look at some players maybe that you don't get a chance to see very often as well. With that said, JT, I know you talked about ball speed being very important, at least from your angle and vantage point. As we leave here in a moment, anything else the viewers should be kind of paying attention to, or they should always kind of keep in mind as they watch qualifying unfold here in the next couple of days?
Well, I think one thing that's interesting that we saw was Verity throwing plastic. And so if that becomes a thing, I don't think we'll see much of it in qualifying, but we may see a little bit of it in match play. And if that happens, it could play a lot of havoc with the matches and how the lanes transition. And so that's something to watch for. We've got a couple of two-handers in the field. Danielle Henderson, who's bowling great. She just threw one of the biggest messengers I've ever seen in my life, just off to our right, and she is mauling him right now. So she's a player to watch for. Nora's been bowling well, and they can both throw hard. Even though their rev rates are super high, I think they'll be factors this week, even though the pattern's shorter and there's a lot of friction out there. So it's going to be fun once we get down to the match play to see the strategies and to see the chess game unfold, as it always is at the Queens or the Masters. But it should be a great week. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and this is also one of those weeks too where you look down who did not advance to match play, and there's generally a lot of really good players who for whatever reason, this week, if it is on the higher scoring page, right, it could come down to a couple of single pins that weren't carried or something to that degree. So it's a true fight to get to match play.
Yeah, it is. And again, to talk about Danielle Henderson, which she's won the U22 Queens, and she just won ITCs, which is this type of format. So she's really good when it comes to bowling head-to-head matches, and that's a big thing. I mean, obviously she's got the athleticism and the power advantage with her two-handed style, but she's really good at bowling head-to-head matches, and that's something to watch for as we get into the brackets.
All right, with that, folks, we will step aside. We will allow you to watch the rest of the practice session on Bowl TV to our PWBA YouTube channel audience. Make sure you subscribe to Bowl TV. You can watch every single ball, almost go down the lane, and certainly every single match, every single game across, again, our 17 channels. We've got the majority, actually, no, 90% of the, right, about 92% technically of this building covered. We got 64 of 68 lanes. Unprecedented here on Bowl TV this week. So make sure you come on over and check it out. And also subscribe, for those who have not, to the PWBA YouTube channel. Always great content. Mic'd Ups are one of my favorites. You also get a chance to check out some recent stepladder finals also on the PWBA YouTube channel. So we thank you. Well, brief thanks to Jason Thomas. We'll get a chance to hang out with Jim Callahan all week as well here at Gold Coast Hotel and Casino. And big thanks to Chase Kaufman, the entire crew and staff. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Enjoy the rest of this practice session. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern time for A Squad Round 1 qualifying of the USBC Queens.
I just wanted to add one more thing. Emil always is great, and I never want to interrupt him doing a close because he's flawless. But be sure to watch the Hall of Fame induction ceremony tonight.
Correct. Thank you.
Because it's going to be a celebration of Kelly Kulick's career, and we're going to bring it to you right here on Bowl TV, so you can watch that. And it's going to be free, so tell all your friends. It's an opportunity for them to check out Bowl TV, but it's going to be a really special night because of what Kelly Kulick has meant to the tour. and I encourage you to check it out. So just wanted to say that before we
that
signed
was,
off.
That was the right thing to do because I talked about that this morning. Forgot about it this afternoon. And we will get started at about 6:45 Pacific. I think that's fair to say. Cocktail hour at 5. Dinner begins at 6, and we generally are live 15 to 20 minutes prior to the start of the actual ceremony, which is tonight, should be about 7. Let me confirm that real quick before we go off the air. All right, we'll get one more confirmation just to make sure, but that's generally how it should play out. So that would be, if you're on the East Coast tonight, obviously, you need to stay up late. But I think it's worth staying up late tonight to talk about one of the greatest of all time, and Kelly Kulick. And included in her class are Leala Wagner as well as Cara Honeychurch, but due to some traveling and some scheduling conflicts, those two players will have their formal inductions deferred to 2027. So it will end up being an ode to Kelly tonight. Okay, before we leave, everybody give me one Kelly memory. One Kelly Kulick memory for you.
I might have to go chalk here.
Oh, cool.
Because
That's fine.
I do think it is the best memory above her winning the TOC at a time where there was no PWBA tour. Is pretty incredible. And I don't remember who she was with, but she was ball repping on the 50 tour at the time. This was in Michigan, and I happened to go to lunch somewhere, and her and someone else happened to be there at the same time. And whoever she was with talked to the cashier and said, she's one of the best women bowlers of all time. She beat the men. And I don't even think the guy asked, but it was just kind of funny. And Kelly's like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I have so many. I can't pin it down to just one, but what I'm going to say is that I said this when I did her video for the USBC Hall of Fame induction, that if the only thing she ever did in her career was win the Tournament of Champions, she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just for that, right? So, and I was there that week, and it was incredible. And probably the more incredible story was, the last night of match play, she was falling down the leaderboard and was actually off the show. And then she made a ball change. She lined up off Tony Reyes and threw a couple of 260 and 270 games to get back on the show. And then the position round was one of the best position rounds I've ever seen. Tony Reyes went from second to off the show. Pete Weber missed the show by 1 pin, and Rhino Page and Mika Koivuniemi made it by the skin of their teeth. And Kelly needed to bowl a big game that last game to stay on the show. And I had a camera positioned right behind her pair on a tripod, and then the rope was right there between the bowlers area and the fans, and I could hear the fans talking and saying that Kelly was going to choke and miss the show. And she was about 5 feet away, just standing up between every shot, and I know that she could hear them. And I asked her, not right after, but a while later, if she heard them, and she said, "No, I heard nothing that whole match." And she bowled 260 that last game to make the show. And so to me, that was almost as impressive as what happened on TV. Winning was her just sort of ungodly ability to focus in that moment and get the job done. And the last thing I'll say about Kelly is, without her, there may not be a Tour de Bowl, because that win and what she did afterwards, joining the board and sort of shaming everybody into, having a tour back. And that's not the way it went down, but a lot of people did the right thing. It just took time. But without her doing that and sacrificing her time and volunteering, I don't think it may have taken a lot longer for there to be a PWBA to bowl. But I think every player in this field and every player that bowls in the PWBA from now on probably owes Kelly a little royalty check out of their earnings, because without her, I don't think they would have what they have. And the other piece to it too is every time somebody beats Kelly in a tournament, that absolutely magnifies the accomplishment of anybody, because there's nobody that has more fight in them than Kelly Kulick. And so when somebody bests her in a competition, they've really accomplished something.
That is well said. Nice, inside baseball moment right there from your post at that time with the PBA to have you should write a book one day about all the cool moments and even the not so cool ones.
Well,
that you've
there's
encountered.
been a lot of cool moments, but that one was by far the biggest. And probably the biggest mistake I made in my whole career was on Extra Frame. We did a countdown of greatest moments in TFC history, and I put hers number 2, which was a total mistake. But at the time, the Don Johnson 299 was still sort of the iconic thing, but in the years since, I've just realized how much bigger that moment was, even than when it happened. It's just so monumental.
I think one of my moments would be her first win, since the relaunch and after her mom, Carol, passed away, which is very, very emotional time and moment for her. She also was battling, I think, an ankle injury at the time too, and so there was just a lot, going on, and then also the effect of making a lot of shows and not winning.
Yeah,
all of those things were happening at this point in time, which was 2017, and so seeing her take one home in that aspect, but again after mom passing away, and I think we'll learn. Well, if you watch tonight's Hall of Fame ceremony, I think if you didn't know, you'll learn a little bit more about Kelly's relationship with her mom and how important that was for her as a person and as an athlete growing up, and so that one will always stand out for me as well.
She just walked by us with a film crew following right behind her.
That's fitting.
Yeah.
Very fitting. Well, who's going to beat him playing out? That's the task. At least it looks like it on paper. And there's a lot of good players who love playing out on this tour. And so I'm expecting some plus 200 blocks for qualifying for a few people. Will that result in a tiara, though? That is the question. We will find all of that out day by day, squad by squad, game by game, right here at Gold Coast Hotel and Casino on Bowl TV. Now we say thank you to our PWBA YouTube audience. Again, to watch for the rest of the week, make sure you subscribe to Bowl TV. And then for everybody under the sound of my voice, please make sure you are subscribed to the PWBA YouTube channel. With that said, I want to thank our entire tournament staff. Robin Graves, Gary Brown, Zach Singer this week, Devin Washington, Donovan Grubauer, Steve Silva, Jason Overstreet, doing great work, of course, for tonight's ceremony. Jim Callahan will be with us all week, as will Jason Thomas. Big thanks to Chase Kaufman. I don't get to see Chase very often at all during the year, and so it's nice to see Chase actually in person and not have to not text him 800 million times or get an email from him. So that's nice to see. Again, practice will continue. You got about 15 minutes or so left, and you can watch the rest of practice on Bowl TV. For our YouTube audience, we will see you a little bit later on. Hang out with us throughout the week. For Jason Thomas and Chase Kaufman, my name is Emil Williams Jr. We'll see you tomorrow morning, or tonight actually, for the PWBA Hall of Fame ceremony. Again, about 6:45-ish Pacific, about 9:45 p.m. Eastern, and then qualifying tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll see you all tomorrow. Big thanks to the United States Bowling Congress and the USBC board, the BPAA, the Bowling Proprietors Association and their board, Kegel, official lane maintenance provider of the PWBA and the USBC. Of course, the PWBA, the wonderful athletes, and you, the Bowl TV community. We'll see you tonight and tomorrow. You guys be safe, be well. Until then, you watched practice here on Bowl TV. And remember, bowling lives here.